Hi everybody and welcome to my video on how I make my 3D roses. For this tutorial you'll need the following things. Some cutouts of the pink spiral shape available in Cricut Design Space, floral craft tools including embossing pad and the reverse tweezers, any ink pad of your choice, here I'm using Distress ink. A sponge, I'm using finger sponge Daubers, but you can use cut and dry foam or even an old makeup sponge you have lying around. And last but not least, a hot glue gun. Get your tools and we're ready to begin. I've cut the pink spiral shape out here on some plain white card, thickness of 230 GSM. Before I cut it, I sized it to 6 inches wide. When removing any paper, card or other material from your Cricut mat, turn the mat upside down and pull the mat away from the material rather than the other way round. This prevents any damage occurring during the removal. To aid removal, I find using my extra large Cricut scraper helps. If you haven't got one of these though, you could use a credit card or something similar. To ink the rose, because I'm using plain white card, I'm using Distress ink in the colour Ripe Persimmon. If you didn't want to ink your rose though, you could cut it out on patterned cardstock. With your sponge, dab it onto your ink pad, then take the spiral and just ink all the way round the outer edge. The great thing about this is that no rose or rose petal are identical, so you don't have to be precise at all. Once you've finished inking your spiral, we're now going to curl the petals. To do this, you'll need to flip it over as we're working on the reverse side. For this, you'll need your floral tools, including embossing pad. I'm going to use the head with the second largest ball tip. Place your spiral, ink or pattern side down, then using your embossing tool, all we're going to do is simply agitate the card. Press the ball tip down onto the card in circular motions. As you do so, you'll notice that the card begins to naturally curve. This is completely normal, don't panic. The more you work the card, the more you'll notice it will begin to wrinkle and curve. This is great for a perfect petal shape. When making your flowers, inking the card and curling the petals is not essential. However, I feel that it makes a more realistic looking rose if you do. Okay, now you've finished curling your petals, you're ready to roll your rose. For this, you'll need your reverse tweezers. If you haven't got a set of reverse tweezers, then I believe you can do it with a cuticle pusher or something small and round. The curling of the rose works from out to in, so the outside of the spiral is going to become the inside of the rose. Taking your tweezers, clamp them on the outside of your spiral. Then all you need to do is simply begin to roll your tweezers. When holding your tweezers, remember not to press them too hard. If you do press them too hard, then this will open up the tweezer and release the hold that you have on your card. The only downside to using tweezers is they're not round, they're more of a rectangular shape. So when beginning to roll your rose, you'll sometimes find that it rolls rectangular rather than round. If I find that it's rolling rectangular, then I just simply, with my thumb, squish the edge of the roll. This just helps squish it back into a rounder shape. You only really need to do this when you first begin rolling. I find when rolling my roses, what works best is a light grip on the tweezers and then a light grip with my other hand. I use my index and middle finger just to guide the card onto the tweezers, keeping it in a straight line. This straight line keeps the bottom of your rose flat. The flatter the bottom of your rose, the easier and neater it is when releasing at the end. Once you've got the hang of it and practiced a little bit, you'll find rolling your roses really rather quick and easy. I often cut a load out and sit in front of the TV rolling them. You'll notice that the very end of your spiral is different to all the other petals. This is because it's not a petal, but the base of your rose. Now you've finished rolling and you're left with a lovely rose, there's only a couple more steps to go. Start by taking a firm grip of the rose. I find holding it in between my fingers and then placing a thumb over the top works best. This will stop the rose from uncurling. All you need to do now is simply pull the tweezers out of the bottom. Whatever you do, make sure at this step you don't let go of your rose, otherwise it will unravel. In order to give you a better view of unravelling the rose, I'm using my thumb and index finger here. You can use this method too, or instead of using your thumb, place the rose directly down onto your work table. All you do now is let go of your rose momentarily to allow it to unravel. I find that little and often works best, because if you allow your rose too much freedom, it will totally unravel. If you find that you've let your rose unravel too much, don't worry, you don't need to start again. All you simply do is place your tweezers back into the middle of the rose, gripping the card, and just ravel them round back up again. When you're happy with how much your rose is unravelled, you can then glue the base in position. Unfortunately, and I'm really sorry about this guys, I can't show you this step because I've just gone to use my hot glue gun and it won't switch on, so I'm going to have to order another one. Don't worry though, because this step is really super easy. All you do is apply a blob of hot glue to the little glue plate on the bottom of the rose and then just push your rose down onto it. Using hot glue works best because I find it just gives you a few seconds to rearrange a few of the petals if it's not quite shaped right, but it dries quick enough that you haven't got to hold your rose for ages. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it useful and enjoyed watching it. And the more you practice at making these flowers, the more you'll fall in love with them. I'd really like to see all of the projects that you've made using them. So please remember to tag me in any photos that you have on Facebook. This is my first ever video, so please be kind, but any comments or tips, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks very much for watching, and hopefully I'll have another one for you soon. Bye!